We are living in the world of many, many problems, many conflicts, many disruptive things that need to be balanced. And this is why we will be talking about why food system need balance and what does it really mean. And this first question will go to Miro. Why do we need balance in general and then in agri-food systems?
Yeah, so I would like first to start with one thing regarding the balance in connected to gender balance. So we all often have this feeling that if we are talking about balance, then there should be something less, like less men and more women. But it's not about that. We heard from Agnieszka in her keynote speech that gender balance team have higher innovation capacity. So what does it mean? McKinsey did a study just several years ago, and they found out that gender balance team, so teams that have more women in executive roles, have bigger. It's significantly bigger. It's 47% more return on investment or return on equity. So it means that women in executive roles, they will create more value. So we have more women in executive roles. So it means that the pie will go larger. So we don't go for having less men in this kind of balanced community, but to invite more women to participate, because in this way we'll create more value. That's why I think just for the beginning that when we are talking first of all for a balance, a gender balance, that we need to have more women so we can create more value in our societies. And with this creation of more value will lead to prosperity. So that's just for the very beginning, and then I will later also mention something about technologies, just not to talk too much at the beginning.
I saw Magdalena was smiling at you when you were talking
Because
about
it's great to hear, to have a man in a panel talking about gender equality and the role of women. We very much need it. So thank you, Mira.
Yeah, so the next question will go to you because you are an innovation officer and gender equality lead. And I would like to ask you whether you have observed the impact of women in shaping innovations ecosystems in Europe.
Absolutely. So the way the EIT community is Europe's largest innovation community, and this unique way that we drive innovation is through connecting to business, research, and higher education institutions. So what we do is we power the way from idea to product, from lab to market, from student to entrepreneur. And when doing this, for almost 15 years already, we have observed this huge untapped talent pool in Europe. And this pool, the name of the pool is women. So women are by far Europe's largest untapped innovation and entrepreneurial potential. And we really cannot move forward in any sustainable way. We just don't really have a future without diving into this pool. And I mean, that's why as the EIT community, we have multiplied projects like EVA, directed towards women to empower women, but we are also fixing the systems. So it's not enough to empower women, because when the systems are sick, we also need to fix the system. And I would say it's especially so when we are talking about agri-food, because as Christina said today in her great opening speech, agri-food has this amazing potential, and it's interlinked with all key challenges we are facing. Name it climate, name it energy, name it health. The list is endless, and it's also in the heart of the solution. So we really cannot fix anything, basically, without working on agri-food. So I believe we really need to drastically rethink our relation with food on a systemic level. And one of the key ways to do it is to transform the position of women in agri-food. the role of women in agri-food. Because women in a major way participating as a workforce. They are obviously the key decision makers when it comes to household, as still the people who are in Europe having the most of caring roles, household responsibilities, hence also the food responsibilities at home. But at the same time, there is this vast gap in decision making, in ownership, in agri-food innovation. So we are basically cutting out the perspective of more than half of a population. So what I believe we have to do, we have to get more women in decision making, in ownership, and these benefits are flying. And we have already heard today a lot about these benefits from previous speakers. Just to summarize, we are talking about business case, we are talking about innovation case, we are talking about sustainability case. So business case, Miro, you were already talking about it, so I won't be repeating. Multiply reports, just to mention also EIT community reports like Supernovas, saying that scale-ups led by women grow 1.2 times faster. Or EIT Digital Women in Venture Capital 2023. Again, a skyrocketing business case for just having more women. For me, even more interesting are the two other aspects, innovation case and sustainability case. Because indeed, there are, again, multiply researches, and that's what we observe very much at the EIT community. When we have more women in the teams, when we have diverse decision-making teams, the innovation capacity is skyrocketing. And this is also observed on a country level. We are just a few steps from European Institute for Gender Equality. So the Gender Equality Index shows, and there is this very interesting correlation between Gender Equality Index of EGE and European Union Innovation Scoreboard. So the higher the country is on Gender Equality Index, the higher it is on the European Union Innovation Scoreboard. So I think this is something we really have to keep in mind. And then, you know, I could talk about this multiply example of great women innovators bringing a change. And we are here today in this region and in Lithuania. So let me just mention Giedrė Kasčiūnaitė, who invented this plant-based meat, or Magdalena Kozłowska with napiferin, and this food-grade protein from seed oil, so-called waste. And definitely, last but not least, Solveiga Pakštaitė with her Mimica. And when I'm thinking about Mimica, I am really blown away, because this innovation has the potential to really drastically cut the food waste. Because I don't know how much you are aware that we are going to the shop and we are shopping and we have all these lovely expiry dates. And in most cases, they are not relevant. So we are throwing away food that is still good. And exactly what Solveiga did, she invented this bio-relevant spoiler food detector, who is basically showing us and giving back the power to the consumer to do it. Is this food still eatable or not? And this also brings me to this third aspect, to the sustainability aspect, because this is again the way that women think. And so they are, you know, it was recently I was taking part in the discussion with some high-level decision makers in innovation when it comes to these male-dominated sectors like raw materials, energy, and they are usually saying, oh, it's difficult to get more women, we would like to, but they are somehow, you know, not there. There are obviously multiply challenges behind. But then they are talking about solutions, and I heard recently from them, so sometimes we just change the narrative in the way we are talking about innovation programs. And we are changing just the keywords. We are putting the flashlight on different words. And I asked, so what are the different words you are putting the flash on? And they said, well, like sustainability, green, inclusive, and then we have more women coming. And this is so telling. Sustainability, inclusive, green, and we have more women coming. And this is also the way how women innovate. So if we want to have this radical, disruptive innovation that is the only way to give answers to to today's challenges. If we want to have sustainable, inclusive, green innovation, we cannot do it without having more women.
Thank you, Magdalena. And Ivan Stefanic is with us online. And as a program manager in the European Innovation Council, you have insights into how European companies approach the balance between making profits and ensuring sustainability in the agri-food sector. Can you provide us with examples of innovative solutions that strike a balance between economic viability and environmental impact? Ivan.
Thank you. Dear summit participants, greetings from Brussels, and what to tell. It is great pleasure to be with you and share some insights in programs we administrate at European Innovation Council. Yes, we have only 3 big programs along the innovation development path. With us, everything starts with Pathfinder, low TRL level, for research institutions and grants only. You graduate from Pathfinder, you are admitted to transition, you work on commercialization, you graduate, and then suddenly, game-changing moment, you are not anymore research institution, you are now SME, single applicant, and you apply for accelerator support. To make miracle happen, to commercialize deep tech with disruptive capacity on the market, you have to be equipped with adequate financing. So we develop a model of blended financing where you can get grant and equity investment. This is because, yes, radical innovations at the beginning are far from the market, so you need to finalize them, to definitely explore all important aspects to make them sustainable, not harmful in the long run, ready and competitive. But then when all research is done, you still have, you need significant amounts of money to scale up fast and grow. So blended financing model is important to overcome this gap, conflict, profit versus environmental. And then I can reassure you, our programs are really designed having in mind holistic approach and life cycle approach. So we do whatever we can to de-risk your endeavors and definitely explore all detrimental effects on other subsystems or our consumers as well. In doing so, yeah, balances are a big word in our everyday's work. But before going to gender balances, there are some other balances important at EIC. We administered our programs at member states applicants and associated country applicants. For us, regional balances are important, meaning we would like to see EU space and associated country develop uniformly. Doesn't matter, we are in deep tech. We would like to see those researchers all around. Then we have to pay attention to sectoral balances. At the beginning, health was really strong with us, but now having a team of 10 program managers, we see more balanced development in different sectors. And then, most importantly, we have balance between open and challenge calls. Open calls with us are, you simply apply whatever is suitable for our program, and then in challenge calls, you apply to help us solve the problems which are really burning issues in European Union. So those are challenge calls. And we pay attention to balance between open and challenge calls as well. And then gender balances. Yeah, there are 2 cases there. Domain where we can do, and we do a lot on gender balances, and domains where we can't do that much. Let me explain first. We have a lot of remote evaluators, jury members, experts, EIC ambassadors, board members, and we pay attention to gender balances, and we are doing there just well. Even in our unit, program managers unit, we have quite decent gender balance. 4 of our PMs are women. And then in the other domain, that would depend on applications we receive. We cannot force just anyone to apply. And I would like to use this opportunity to inspire you to apply to our programs. This is the only and most important action we could take, receive more applications. Because we know once when projects led by women researchers and entrepreneurs are granted, they perform more or less similarly like projects run by men. So please reach out, check our webpage. Our work program 24 is soon to be released, and find something for you in EIC.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
I'm sorry, can I just ask Ivan one question? Because Ivan, you said about this application challenge, that you cannot really do much if women are not applying, so you are missing applications from women. But I would dare to say part of the responsibility is on you. So what do you do to attract more women to apply? Because clearly there is huge gender bias. And these are starting at early stage education and so on. So we have the responsibility to make efforts to attract more women. And you can do it in various ways. You can have a marketing campaign, advertisement campaign that are directly going to women. I am talking to people and they say, you know, I had had this conversation between a person from energy sector, person from another sector, also male-dominated, and this person from this male-dominated sector said more or less the same what you just said. And the response was, well, you know, move and have an active scouting, and really at the scouting phase, actively search for women. And then make sure that the whole environment is really supportive towards women. So, yeah, look a little bit what efforts you are making to attract women to your programs.
Oh, thank you so much for this question. And actually, I think my participation in this panel and event is called Women in Agrifood Summit 23 confirms that we do actually something special. We do extra mile to inspire, motivate, and educate women-led consortia or applications. But in addition to that, we have also very special instruments to foster women initiatives. We have Women Tech EU, we have Women Leadership Program, EU Women Innovators Prize, we are running together with EIT. So they are very special programs, and we really do pay extra attention to that moment.
Thank you very much, Ivan. If at any point you feel like you want to ask a question or comment on anything that's being said here on the panel, please let us know and we'll give you a mic, okay? So Olga Trofimtseva has a unique experience and insights from the agri-food sector in Ukraine. And this is why I would like to ask you what lessons have been learned in terms of balancing the impact on conflict on agriculture.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Thank you for a question. First of all, thank you for having me here, and thanks to organizers for such a great event here, Agrifood Lithuania, AIT. It's not a conflict. It's a full-scale war, and that's why our first lesson, and I think girls from Ukraine can confirm it, it's the balance between life and death, and that's a harsh thing to say right now here in Vilnius, in somewhere in European country, and I wouldn't believe it also before February 24 of last year that we would experience something like that. But okay. You know, life is going on, and I'd like to ask maybe the question, how many of you have been to Ukraine in general? Raise your hand, please. Okay, there are some people. And how many of you, or maybe somebody of you has been to Ukraine now during the war? Wow, okay, a couple of people.
I was on the border.
Okay, on the border. So, it's a little bit complicated for me always, you know, to explain how the things are right now in Ukraine and how we're living there, working there in agri-food. And trying keeping the balances, because when you are thinking about war, you can imagine what the mass of destruction and mass of death we see and experience every day. But on the other hand, I like to start also with a figure that 300 applications during the war, full-scale war, were sent to the EVA contest from the girls and women around Ukraine, from all the regions, not only from the Western Ukraine, let's say, yeah, but from the very border regions with Russia. And that's also about that kind of balance when, on the one hand, I must say that this war, as it already was mentioned by keynote speakers, it was something unimaginable, and it's really maybe a worst thing that a human being can experience in his life, but in her life, in his life. But on the other hand, and this is a cynical sort of thing to say, but I think it made all of us, also the European Union, to think about the food security issues, to think about the many kind of balances like sustainability versus efficiency and effectiveness, like development growth versus resilience. And this is also one of the great examples of the balances in Ukraine right now, because, by the way, of the role of the girls and women, you can imagine again, because of war, a lot of Ukrainian men right now at the front line, among many of them, 10,000 are already dead, unfortunately. Many of them injured, coming back then with all these injuries, traumatic experiences. We are trying to somehow to be again engaged in a normal everyday life, etc. And during all that time, Ukraine is still, and Ukrainian agri-food sector is still working. That means that at least in a small scale enterprises, at least in the family farms, you can imagine that exactly the women and girls who took all these tasks, who took all these huge responsibilities and challenges to keep going everyday business, to develop its business, and to even not only to keep it up on at the everyday level, but to grow and to innovate. Why is that? It's another kind of the balance, because to survive right now in Ukraine, you cannot be at the same level like it was before the full-scale Russian invasion. You have to look for new opportunities. I will name you one example, maybe the general one. The domestic market of Ukraine right now is very weak. Again, you can imagine, because of war, the people are getting poor. In many regions, there are problems with their food accessibility, by the way. This again, food security in 21st century, okay, in the middle of Europe. But on the other hand, there are businesses who are still working, who are still producing like also high-tech products, I don't know, from vegetables, whatever, snacks, healthy food, superfood. But the realization that the domestic market is, as I said, quite weak. So we are looking for exports. We are looking for the new markets. We are looking for the new partners. And it's again this balance between surviving and keeping up with everyday challenges because of a rocket attacks, because of the artillery shoots every day in some regions of Ukraine from Russian side. But on the other hand, you are trying to develop yourself, you are trying to grow, you're looking for new opportunities, and you are trying to bring some new ideas, thanks to such partners, by the way, like EVA and EIT. And that's why I'd also like to mention a couple of other points here. It was already mentioned, we should look at the whole chain, starting up with education, because as you rightly said, it's starting up in school. STEM professions, are somehow not in a picture for girls very often, like, and ending up with R&D, ending up this marketing and all kind of the activities which are not the production per se, because again, agriculture, it's really right now not about the growing wheat, as I'm always saying. It's a much broader sector. It's about the medicine, it's about energy, environment, and all that kind of things. And so we should look at the whole chain here. I was also glad to hear about the many programs which are available here in European Union. And I think for Ukrainian girls and women in agri-food, the best thing now what could be done is to make them eligible for all that programs. Yes. There is possible to involve them, to give them these opportunities, not only financial ones, but just to give them that feeling, I would say, that we belonging here, that we are the part of the European Union family. And we are hoping for the opening the negotiations to access the European Union in some, I would say, I'm a realistic optimist, so I would say in a middle-term perspective, because it's also very challenging and very complicated way. We know that. We are very well aware of it. But nevertheless, we should already be here, present there. It's only possible. And for women, again, it's more simple right now because of this harsh reality of war. I would stop here and continue
we'll
later.
Get back to you, Olga. Miro Hegedij, as an engineer, was supposed to talk about the human-tech balance. And before I go to a specific questions, I want to ask you a yes or no question, just one. Do you believe that balance between technology and human-centric approaches is necessary for the success of startups?
Yeah, the right answer is yes.
Thank you. So, how do you see the balance between human touch and high-tech solutions in shaping the future of agriculture and food production?
So yeah, what we have seen, especially in Croatia. Croatia is part of this called RIS countries. So it means we are modest and moderate innovators. And there are some other countries which are in this position as well. So I think, first of all, there is a difference, as Ivan also mentioned, regionally between how innovation is perceived and done. One of the reasons for that is because the starting point is different. So, for example, if we take a look at Croatian farms and those small farms and farming agriculture, it plays significant role, but it's totally different than the farming, the way how the agriculture is performed in, for example, Western countries such as Austria or Germany. So, from that perspective, we have to have approach to technology in a different way. Also, Maria Lisa that mentioned in her opening speech, diversity, age diversity. So, for example, there is a fact in Croatia that only 10% of farm owners are less than 40 years old. So it means that 90% are 40 and more years old. So imagine digital literacy among these people. So when talking about technology implementation of technology, we have to take this into consideration. And there is also this gender balance in technology. So in our EVA program, we had, I will just give some examples of technology which is being developed in Croatia. So we had Ivana Rendelic, she's a PhD in Agrifood science, and she was developing her startup, and is still developing her startup. She's using drones to scan different agricultural area for optimization. It can go for vineyards, but also the latest example was production of potatoes. So it means that using technology, they can improve the productivity and effectiveness of producing potatoes, which will add some additional value to the market. But what is important that she can implement this technology with the people who could use it. So before we start implementing a technology, I think we have to go in the direction of education. This is, I know, also from the manufacturing perspective. if people do not understand what technology can do, they won't use it. And it's not just about implementing deep tech technology such as artificial intelligence or drone technology, robotics, but it is also innovating in bioscience. So we had last year in our program Manuela Panic. She's a PhD in bioscience, and they were developing green solvents. So it's totally different way how they approach the innovation in agri-food. And then the last one is this social way of innovation. And we had one participant in the program, Petra Milinaric. She's doing different kind of innovation, not using technology, but innovating in the sense of how products are reaching the market. So she decided to move from the city to the small community, and now she helps this community to bring their products to the bigger market in bigger cities by using online shopping. So this is different ways how technology is being used to foster innovation. And now the human touch. So you can have all this technology, and it's very popular nowadays, artificial intelligence, robotics, and everything. But at the end, it should be that this technology is solving real problems. And in that perspective, you have to have human touch. So it means there is always a person, there is always someone who has to have a job that has to be done. And then when you're trying, first of all, to develop this technology, you will go to the farmer, you will talk to the farmer to see how he's performing his daily activities. And in the next step, you will try to help him with your knowledge, which is maybe deeply background in some kind of deep tech. And you will implement this technology to solve his problem. So first of all, you have to know how to talk to this customer. And later on, also this person is going to use this technology. So the technology has to be at a level of usability. So everyone who needs to use this technology can use it. So I think there is this balance between technology and human.
Just one short question. Soft skills like creativity and maybe empathy are always attributed to women, like something that is really crucial to our nature, character, and the way we act. Can you use those qualities and skills into cutting-edge technologies and the way you work and you produce?
Is this again yes/no question?
Elaborate.
So yeah, the answer is again yes. Agnieszka and I think Magdalena also mentioned that. So you have diversity in your teams, so gender balanced teams. They are 6 times more innovative. So there was a study about that. So it is very important when you are talking about new ways how to approach solving the problems, that you implement creativity in this process. Because sometimes if we humans created a lot of problems and we approach those problems in the same way how we created them, we won't be able to solve them. So if diverse teams are more creative, so it means that there will be more chances that we solve these hard problems by approaching them from our creative perspective.
What about empathy? It's always, not always, often seen as weakness. Can you turn it into strength?
Yeah, I think it's in the case when you are developing a business. So there is always a person from the other side. So there is a customer. So it's very important that you can empathize with the customer, understand what are his or her fears, how does he feel in certain situations. It's not just the job that he wants to done, but what's the social work that he wants to achieve. What's also the emotional job that this person wants to achieve, so that your product is not just fixing the problem, but fixing, not fixing, but giving the other gains, such as feeling better in the process. And for this, you have to have empathy.
Mm-hmm. Magdalena Gryszko-Santo is smiling again.
I'm smiling.
Wants to comment?
Two elements I wanted to touch upon. Once, Renata, you mentioned about this empathy, soft skills, the personal skills are something that is in the nature of women.
Or stereotypically?
I mean, I like to talk about
Yeah.
nature, but I also, there are certain there is a certain socialization. I would say on women is the vast majority of caring roles. Talking about caring for kids, caring for elderly, caring for sick members of the family. And caring for others develops empathy, develops communication skills, develops soft skills. So I would say, let's have more men doing the caring roles. Let's have them more involved in caring for kids, elderly, sick. And I'm sure that the empathy skills and the interpersonal skills will drastically grow. So I think there is a way to, so this is one aspect. And another aspect, you were talking about Miro and this human and technology touch and different aspect of it. But for me, there is this very important element that, technology is created by human, which means that the gender bias also that we are having is then transmitted to innovation and technology, which on one hand, can be just making the technology not relevant for half of a population. In the worst case scenario, it can actually extremely hammer half of the population, which means all of us. And just to have a very brief and not the most drastic example, but to show you what I'm thinking about, like face recognition system, developed mostly by men. And they have a significantly higher error rate for recognizing women faces, 7 times higher. So when it comes to recognition of women faces versus men faces, 7 times higher mistake rate. And what's even more interesting, the error rate grows when we are talking about women with dark skin versus women with light skin. So I think we need to remember that this is extremely important, because if we don't deal with gender bias, this will be transmitted to AI, this will be transmitted to innovation and technology, and it will further strengthen gender inequality.
Miro wants to answer.
Not answer, just to add on that I completely agree that we have to have more women in developing technologies, and I was surprised when we had the program in Croatia, and then almost half of the teams that were in the program, EVA program, so Empowering Women in Agrifood, were developing some kind of technology, and then you could see the different approach. Because we run in Croatia different programs. We run program Get Started in Health Innovation. We run programs for agnostic programs for startups in different regions. And what we have seen in EVA program, their approach, because there were just women in the program, was totally different than from the other guys. And what you mentioned, the empathy. I just remember one product they were developing the product to grow food inside of the house, and how they approach it from the perspective of people who are going to live with this product was totally different than because I've seen other startups developing the same thing. So I think you're right from this perspective. We have to have more diverse teams that are developing technologies that are going to be used in wider audience. So
diverse and educated when it comes to gender bias. Because gender bias are in all of us, and all of us need this in-depth personal work to get rid of it.
I have one question for Magdalena. How do you envision fostering collaboration between men and women in leadership roles to avoid potential opposition? And I'm asking that because the discussion about the crisis of masculinity is gaining attention this time, making it sometimes probably difficult for men to enclose women as potential leaders.
I must admit, Renata, that when I hear these questions about how to convince men to include more women, there is this big temptation in me to say, it's Europe 21st century. And I am tempted to close my line there. But, I do, but let me actually put it differently, and I will actually start with quoting a man. Robert Biedroń, who is the leading the FEM committee in the Committee for Women's Rights in the European Parliament. I met him for the first time like more than 20 years ago, and recently he was taking part in AGA discussion exactly about masculinity, and he said, "Listen, we have to face it. Men are afraid to give some of the power, give some of the money, and give some of the decision making. There is fear." And I very much appreciate when a man says it, because I think this is the first step. We need to take it out from the carpet. We need to say it's about power, it's about money, it's about giving away some of it, and this is fearful, of course. And I think we need to just, name the elephant in the room as the first strategy. And then the second and the third strategy, from my perspective, let's really show the gains for men on a personal level, and the gains for men on a global level. And when we are talking about gains for men on a personal level, when you are a leader and you have, you share the leadership with women, and you have this diverse team, and we were already talking about, your company will go up when it comes to return on investment, your company will be more innovative, what you will be doing will be more sustainable. So you are gaining as a leader, so we can look at it from a skill perspective, diversity management, and the benefits of it. Then there is this personal level. You can get more involved in caring activities as a father. And I personally met really many men who were actually suffering from not having a chance to be more involved in this caring role. And this is really not okay how this system in many countries is still created. Well, 2.5 years ago, I gave birth to twins. And I went on maternity and parental leave. My husband, who was waiting for a long time to have these children, in the country where we live, he got 7 days of leave, according to the regulation, to stay with me and the kids at home. And this is the case in many countries, and we really need to change it. And I believe when we are talking about this transition of getting more women in decision making, we are also talking about transition about having more men in caring, and this is a vast also personal benefit for men. And so this is and there is the third global level: sustainable, inclusive, green. And this is the only way really we can talk about future.
Thank you very much. And the next question will go to Ivan. How do you see the role of science in contributing to a balanced bioeconomy in the agri-food sector?
Could you repeat the question? I didn't get the first part.
Yes. How do you see the role of science in contributing to a balanced bioeconomy in the agri-food sector?
Okay. So far we were discussing different balances in univariate way, but real life is multivariate. So if we join together considerations sector by gender, then it's really getting interesting, because there is a huge difference in gender balance in sectors. So for example, in our accelerator, we have sectors with woman-led companies of 38% in health, 15% in ICT, and then only 3% in agriculture and fishery. This is just a little bit better in food and beverages, 4%. So I think it is about role models as well. So it is not only general effort. We could learn from other sectors. So they obviously done better than some others. So let's see what practices are really working. And then I think we could get even more operational. I would like to set a challenge and possible topic for next summit. Okay, improving gender balances, that's great, it's right, but it's merely operational. Let me tell you what we could do. Work Program 24 would be published soon, but only sometime mid-January 24, we would have Info Day. At Info Day, all interested applicants could check what are the details of our challenge calls, open calls, and they could make a decision. We have really interested to support gender equality among our applicants. But first step should be taken by you. So why don't we decide, even today, to try? Participate in our info days, submit application, and then we meet next year and analyze, was it useful? Were we able to inspire someone to apply? And what was the result? How about that?
How
Sounds
about
like a plan.
that? Anyone wants to comment on this proposal? If not, the next question will go to Olga. You are a representative of the Mykolaiv Water Hub. Can you tell us what it is and what is the meaning of balanced water management for the agri-food sector?
Yeah, thank you. But first, I'd like to start with a remark. You mentioned kids, and I have a daughter. She's 11 right now. And just, by the way, day before yesterday, she came from school. And somehow, out of nothing, she said, you know, Mom, I think that we are happy to live in this time and not earlier, when women were not able to go to schools, we were having not so many rights, etc. I said, whoa, 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 yeah, we are very, very happy, but it's not so rosy if you looking at Afghanistan and some other countries. Oh, really? She was so surprised that it's still, unfortunately, not Rosa Pony world as for the women's rights, but nevertheless, we are happy, really, to live in these times. And as for Mykolaiv Water Hub, yeah, this is one of good examples of our, by the way, girls team. This is a sort of startup and project which we have started and I joined recently. It was started already in 2018, but got more activities now during this full-scale war because what we've seen that, you know, Mykolaiv is a big city in the southern part of Ukraine, which was almost conquered by Russians, but happily that didn't happen. And Mykolaiv is very interesting as a not only a city per se, but the region and the neighboring regions. So the southern part of Ukraine is very interesting from the point of view of the water balance. What does it mean? I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think that the next big environmental or general crisis would be about water. We already see it in Europe, Spain. We see it in California. We see it in Scotland, as far as I know, and we see it in Ukraine as well. In southern eastern part of Ukraine, 8 of 10 years were already too dry in last decades, during last decades, to do their agriculture without irrigation. So that means that the climate change, warming or not warming, but climate change, as you know, the global trend, unfortunately, is there, and we see it. And that's why we decided within the Mykolaiv Water Hub, try to work more closely now, these local authorities in Mykolaiv region, Kherson region, Odessa, to take war, like, you know, like an opportunity, and to learn together how to be more wise as for their water management, as for their water usage, not only for drinking purposes, not only for us, like population, this in a city, but also in agri-food. You can imagine how much water is used there, not only for irrigation, but also in processing. You've seen definitely all these numbers on a water footprint in production of meat or cheese or whatever products, or even our clothes. So it's a huge topic, and to raise an awareness in Ukraine to this team. And as I said, first of all, now try to, again, for a second time, a cynical thing to say, but war in Ukraine is giving now us sort of, well, you know, like opportunity to start from a scratch. Many things Russians destroyed just to zero. Like also water supply systems in Mykolaiv, in Kherson, by the way, it's almost dead. And some of the enterprises, some of the industries even, yeah, almost dead in Ukraine, unfortunately. Or maybe not so unfortunately, I'm saying that very careful now, but it was really like many of them were Soviet history and Soviet relicts. We were not adapted to all these challenges and to environmental new realities, to the competitiveness, to a new bright world, you know. And that's why even in this case, in case of the water management, and again, we are talking here about agri-food in a broader sense, because it's about water, it's about soil, it's about energy, as we already mentioned it, and about many other aspects. So we are trying to bring it all together, and our first step will be to establish, or it's already underway, to establish the innovative laboratory, water lab in Mykolaiv, which will be accessible for the youngsters from all the region. We're also, by the way, planning to exactly to do what I said before, to include women really more actively from the STEM professions, to make girls go to this direction, to see that you can be an engineer, and it's actually a very interesting job that you can have, and you have a lot of opportunities where to choose what you want to do, or in IT, or in any other subsectors which are related to water, agri-food, etc. Because it's, again, it's a very broad yeah, very broad sectors assortment, I would say, which you can choose from. And so this is the way where we would like to start from a local level, but also bring together the partners from Germany, let's say, because many of us, and I'm now part-time settled in Germany because, again, of war, I brought my daughter there. And because of my German experience and background. We are trying now to work, as I said, to build a new ecosystem in agri-food, in water management, new from scratch. Even not, we are not oriented, not very oriented on a German, by the way, state of things, and where sometimes we are not very lucky or not very happy to hear that when we are saying, well, you are good, but you are not good enough. We can do better. So that's our aspiration.
I have one more question. Do you, in Ukraine, do you have any research or opinion polls that would clarify how many of the women and their kids and their families who have immigrated since the start of the war will stay abroad? And because I understand this could be a huge problem. Some of them would rather choose immigration and living in Poland, France, Sweden.
That's as Christina mentioned it. It's in her opening speech. It's a global problem, in fact, more or less, or definitely the European problem, depopulation. There are low birth rates, and depopulation in the rural areas is even more critical. There are a lot of dead villages in Ukraine, as you can imagine, and due to the war, even more now in many regions, even my home region, Sumy, it's not far. My parents, by the way, were living just like 20-25 kilometers away from the Russian border, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm seeing what happening there. So the people are fleeing, definitely. We are fleeing to other regions of Ukraine, in the best case, or they are looking for their new life. Some they are here in the European Union. As for the statistics, the numbers now are floating, because at the beginning it was clear it was a huge flow of Ukrainians who came to Europe, but afterwards, we do have now the situation then many people are staying, but many are coming back. Many are pendling somehow, between European Union and Ukraine. And the problem is that there are different estimations as for that. I know that around 1 million are in Poland. It's definitely more than, at least, officially, let's say, more than 1 million definitely also in Germany. This is the largest numbers there. In general, now I think that about 4 to 5 million people, Ukrainians, mostly women with children, are staying in European Union. And the problem is that the longer war is going, the less chance to bring them back. Again, this is a harsh reality, and this is maybe not very, let's say, pleasant thing to say, but we should face it. And I'm quite often criticizing now Ukrainian government where they are doing not much for, like, to think about that, what you're going to do about this problem. Because if these women and children are not coming back, we already in some demographic crisis, and this demographic crisis will just deepen after the war. And to think then about the rebuilding Ukraine, rebuild back or reconstruction, and try to do better, well, it would be very difficult for us.
You need women for that.
Definitely. And the next generation. We need children also,
So far in Poland, we are happy to have Ukrainians.
Germans are also happy about that. So
really,
we are like,
on many levels, we are very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Wishing you the end of the war, of course.
Yeah.
We have 3 more minutes. So if you feel like asking a short question or comment or anything, or maybe the panelists would like to say.
I think the floor is...
Yeah, if no one is asking.
There is a question. I'll give you microphone, okay?
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm really having a good time. I'm learning a lot. So I'm a woman in science. I do have PhD in chemistry. And I would say the hardest for me during my career, since I'm in research already for 10 years, was communication and the feeling like I don't belong here. And I do believe it was gender issue mostly, because I'm coming from physics and chemistry. And I heard a lot of tips from you. I'm really grateful today, because I don't feel like I'm alone feeling this way, anymore. And I'm just wondering how to improve this situation, because since I'm growing, I'm becoming mentor now. That means I have to supervise people, I have to inspire them, and I think I was using my empathy quite a lot, and it helped me to have good relationships between me and those who I'm supervising. But I feel that I'm struggling to have good relationships with people who are above me, if I can put this way, like higher supervisor, directors, heads of departments. I feel like a lot of pressure, and I don't know, is it like a competition or something? Maybe you can comment on that. How do you see people when they grow, when they go step by step up? That's my question. Like,
so, someone specific or? No, I think this is the most importantly in career development is to go. It's okay that you do go step by step, because during this process you learn a lot. And Magdalena mentioned this many times. It's about the education, and if you feel if person feels that there is something he or she is missing, then there is a way how to improve it, through training, through education, and I think it's very personal. So I don't know about situation, but whenever I have a chance, I especially in the programs where we have more women, and normally in programs we have more women, I tend to advise them that they should not be afraid to ask for advice from men, neither women. So it's not about you just should talk to women, but to all men and women for advice.
And maybe a short remark from me, as I became the acting minister of agriculture first in the history of Ukraine at such a high position in agricultural sector. You can imagine, yeah. So the blonde woman is a minister for agriculture, and agriculture is quite traditionalistic, I would say, sector, yeah, in many countries still. So the first remarks were in the direction like, what this girl can know about that. But when they see that you are positioning yourself as a professional, as an expert, and I was absolutely, by the way, in my working experience, very equal to men or women, by the way, no difference for me. If you are good at your job, you are good for me, yeah. So you're good enough to work in my team. You are good enough to take some position, etc. And to add, as for advices, it's a great book from Sheryl Sandberg, Lenin. I don't know if you read it or not. If not, read it, please. There are many very practical advices from sit at the table, raise your hand, be present. So many things were already said here, yeah, but we are still somehow not using all of them. So this would be my advice, like, positioning yourself as a professional, because you are, yeah, and read this book and see what you can do further, yeah.
I was very touched by your question and by what you said, that you, after so many years in research, that you felt like you don't belong there. And I very much think that that's how many women feel all over, because it's not enough to increase the number of women to have women there. We need to fix the systems. Exactly, that the system doesn't make a woman feel that she doesn't belong there. And this is the responsibility, to fix the system that is on all of us. We need to have gender training, gender bias training for all, especially for decision makers. We need to make sure that the environment is gender violence free and sexual harassment free. We still don't talk enough about these problems. We still need to make sure that there are ways to support women to go up to decision making and to combine caring roles still very much on women and professional roles. So I would say sometimes we put too much on women, saying women have to do this and this, learn more and this, behave more like this and this. And we are resistant to say the system needs to be fixed. The system is broken.
Thank you very
for your
much.
question.
Thank you, everyone. And now it's time for first Eva Walk of Fame. Maciek, the floor is yours.
So applause to you first.
Thank you.